Hello and welcome to another episode of HEX Therapy Live. I'm your host, Maddie ALLin, programmable money advocate and mental health specialist. Today we are going to be going over the topic of anger management. Now, there are a lot of people in crypto who are angry, and Hexicans are among them because we hate how much HEX goes up in price. We hate not being able to buy it as cheap as we used to. And we hate it whenever we just make a fortune compared to all those Bitcoin bros out there. So this episode is going out to the Bitcoin bros and Hexicans alike. And I know a lot of people have been anticipating this episode, so I'm excited to share it with you. And while we wait for the Hexo raid to come in, here's an intro or two. In about an hour, Whales Only is going to be going live. And so we got a lot to look forward to tonight. I'll be sharing some resources on emotional intelligence and anger management. So stick around. I want to play the longer intro now to get the mood right. So before we get into the main topic here about anger management, I just want to make some comments about what's been going on in the HEX community. And we just saw the Hexologist. He came out with a great stream today for his daily stream. And yesterday, I thought it was really cool how he discovered a conspiracy theory in HEX with the whale addresses moving around. And so that's really exciting. Make sure to catch up on that episode. And then on Tuesday night, Whales Only, Kareem and I, we delivered so much information about how bullish we are on the price of HEX that it seems like HEX is up maybe 40% in the past week or two. So Needless to say, whales only is still accumulating. So if anybody can sell the price down, we'd appreciate that. But definitely check out that stream. We talked about kind of the topic of what it means to like really buy your financial freedom, and looked at all the charts and the data. Wow, I see a bunch of familiar faces here in the chat. Welcome everyone. We've got Juicy. We got Juicy in the chat. Crypto Gains Club. David Morales. Let's see. Hex Fish, welcome. Bit Finesse, how's it going? Ballet Brand, good to see you. Hex King. Johnny Chaos has been streaming a lot, doing some excellent streams. Hector the Protector, good to see you there. Crypto Orange. Mr. Contrarian, Marcavelli. Papa B, how's it going? Nardo, the Unhexable. Okay. Sammy, how's it going? Wow. So the Hexo stream must have come in. Crypto Vince, Hexmac, Hextoshi, T-Bird Hex, Crypto Ewok, Odeli. Now, I've been super busy working on a special event for Hex, and it's not ready to announce yet, but I'm just going to put that teaser out there, okay? So stay tuned for everything. And so let's see. Oh, the other piece of news that I wanted to share is that MetaMask announced today. No, not that they're doing an airdrop. They haven't announced that yet. But they did announce that they started doing swaps on their mobile app. And if you've been in Hex long enough, you'll remember before MetaMask even had a mobile app, before we just had to only do it on desktop. I think that came out sometime in the summer. And so, of course, we have wild speculation, and Motley and I have our competition. We've placed our bets to see which one of us can get more airdrops. And he's winning by a lot, but I'm still going to make my comeback. So mark my words, Motley Investor, it's all in good-hearted fun. So, but that is big news. Now that MetaMask is pulling in more fees, I believe that they're more likely to be dropping free money. And of course, everybody in Hex likes free money, and we're pretty used to it at this point. So when I went to update the app, it looked like they hadn't integrated it yet. So at this point, all we have, at least for us iPhone users, would be their Medium article that they've put out. Also, it looks like the developers of HexBay have gotten back to me, and they've given me better instructions now about how to use the test network. And so that's something we'll be able to explore in a future stream. I hope you're all excited for Saturday, because I will be going live with Patrick Hex Lion. And if you caught his presentation just the other day about why the price of a T-share goes up a certain amount whenever a whale gets out compared to just a regular person who's made maybe even higher ROI, I think he did an outstanding job. I learned a little bit more about the easy way that you can tell if you look at the share price and how much it's gone up since it started on the first day at 10,000 hex per T-share. Now that we're up to 17,000 hex per T-share, that shows us that the maximum ROI that somebody has gotten in hex terms is 70%. And so in order to ratchet up, I believe in order to ratchet up the price of a T-share, then you'd have to have a higher ROI than that. And so the whale that just got out, that just ended a 2.3 billion hex stake, actually didn't ratchet up the share price like some of us had expected. And so I really liked seeing Johnny Chaos on that stream. I thought he did an outstanding job of explaining how his understanding has increased, and we're all learning from each other. And this is a good environment. And I know you are all here also to learn about anger management. And so this is a topic that I teach at this moment tonight. This is not therapy advice. This is not financial advice. This is free speech. And so this is kind of an extension of the segment we did 1 month ago now. And that was on your emotional IQ. And it looks like about 450 people tuned in for that episode because they wanted to increase their emotional IQ, which is different than your intelligence quotient because it is something that can be raised by increasing your emotional awareness and your emotional management. And so also tons of people hit the like button on that episode and nobody hit the thumbs down. So go ahead and smash the like button now and hit subscribe if you don't mind. That helps the algorithms, so I hear. Okay. And then you also heard, so you've been hearing a lot of mental health stuff from me, of course. There's an episode that's only an hour long where I talked about the idea of programming mental health into money by not only having time locks like we do in HEX, but also having behavior locks. I think that's a really good use case for encapsulated T-shares in the future, these extra layers of technology. Of course, if you've been living under a rock lately, then you might not know that HEX now plans to leave Ethereum in the dust. We are tired of waiting so many years for Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake to come out. And so it looks like Richard Hart, the creator of HEX, and others are busy developing the future of programmable money. And so I'm like super stoked to be here with you all. And you'll hear more comments from me about speculation and, I want to have some devs on the show. If you're a dev, hit me up, t.me/MattyAllin. Okay, so there are different levels of anger problems. On one end, you've got actually a DSM diagnosed condition called Intermittent Explosive Disorder, which the folks over at DSM, they think they're so clever, naming it with the initials IED, right? Because that's like a military thing of like, the chat will know what it means in the military context. But the idea is that people explode and that this is a diagnosable condition. In my experience, most people don't meet the criteria for that, or if they do, they actually have a medical condition. And so I check myself before I hand out a diagnosis of intermittent explosive disorder, because a lot of times what it is hyperthyroidism. And I've worked with people who've been misdiagnosed for years. They had a chemical imbalance in their brain, part of the hormone system, the thyroid, and their overactive thyroid, it caused them to experience rage just upon waking up, and not just a little bit, a lot. And so that's one of the signs that we could tell if somebody has a super high heartbeat all the time, or if they wake up angry for no reason. Those are all good reasons to send somebody to a doctor to get just like a standard blood test and make sure that they don't have hyperthyroidism. Whenever we deal with psychological issues, especially with talk therapy, we want to make sure that it's not an underlying medical condition that is easily treated and we're just talking nonsense, psychobabble and whatnot. So we rule that out when we're dealing with anger diagnoses. But for most people, their anger might come out in other ways, or they might not meet the criteria for intermittent explosive disorder. They might just have an anger problem, or you might not even have an anger problem, but you might experience anger from time to time, right? And so as people in HEX, we're trying to always improve ourselves and improve our mental health. Mental health is not an all or none phenomenon. It's something that can grow with the more tools that you have in your toolbox, and that increases your quality of life and the quality of life of those around you. And that's why it's so important. Your anger does not just affect you. It affects the other people around you, because moods are contagious, right? So if one person's in a bad mood, like at the DMV, then they could make lots of other people have bad moods. So I'm excited to read the chat. We'll definitely get to it. Probably get to it. And so one of the things that we see, so I want to talk about like aha moments, because this is really building off of this emotional intelligence topic that we are working through. And those aha moments, those are going to be important, right? Because you want to be in control of your emotions, especially because you want to be in control of your finances and in control of your behavior. So, one of the aha moments that people have when they're in anger management treatment is that before treatment, they look at the world as if other people are responsible for their emotions. And you made me angry is the quote, right? And when people look at their emotions in a different light, they can see that you made you angry because that's the reaction that you had. And in the end, it turns out that like blaming yourself instead of other people, sometimes that's okay because it helps you take responsibility, make the changes you need to make. We'll talk about what changes those are. But also it's good to like not blame anybody. And that's where the dialectic behavior therapy principles come in, where you don't really have to blame anybody, because all that's going to do is it's going to take energy away from you being able to get the tools that you need and solve the problems. And that's kind of one of the themes that we'll see here in the specific strategies I have for you to manage anger, is that it requires problem solving and awareness, self-awareness. And those are things that happen in the prefrontal cortex. Now, you've heard me talk about my favorite part of the brain before. It lies behind your forehead and your temple. And it's the part of your brain that's responsible for all kinds of things. Planning for the future, inhibiting impulsive behavior, problem solving. Lots of things come down to the prefrontal cortex, right? And so the only problem when anger appears in the brain is that your anger center is a deep old brain structure in the middle of your head, middle of your brain, called the amygdala. And the amygdala has wires that go directly to the prefrontal cortex and dump inhibitory chemicals on it. So that's why when I see really, really intense anger cases, people describe that they black out when they get super angry, even if they're not consuming alcohol or on any substances. Also called seeing red. And so that really makes it hard for people to even understand what their anger triggers are, and to be able to stop themselves, right, from having anger outbursts when they aren't, when their awareness is so low, they're not even able to remember. So when your amygdala is shutting down your prefrontal cortex, that's a problem. And there's a reason why we're wired this way. Part of the fight or flight response part of the brain. But as it turns out, there are good reasons to resolve conflicts and not just run away or stay and fight, right? And so luckily for us, there are wires that go from the prefrontal cortex back to the amygdala, and they help us regulate our emotional core. And so it ends up being a race to the finish to see which part of the brain shuts off the other part first. And so we'll talk about what it looks like behaviorally to make sure that your prefrontal cortex is going to win the race and that you're going to stay in control rather than letting control go to your anger center. Because once the prefrontal cortex gets shut down, it takes a while to start back up. And part of the reason for that is the whole cascade of physiological events that occur whenever anger is triggered. When people get trained to become aware of the physical warning signs of anger, some people say their ears get hot, or maybe their like nose turns really red. Other people, they cross their arms, or their heartbeat increases. Some people hear ringing in their ears. And they might not even realize that these are warning signs of anger until they take a step back and study it. But again, it requires awareness and emotional regulation. So this is going to be a little bit of a roundabout way to get to the behaviors that you can practice in order to manage your anger. But stay with me here. So one of the ways that I've successfully treated an extreme anger disorder by simply talk therapy alone, it was pretty remarkable. And so I'll share what that looks like. So let's say that I was dealing with an individual who, again, was blacking out whenever they had an anger outburst, but they really were motivated to figure out what is it about what can I do to save all the relationships in my life? What can I do? And so the assignment that I gave them was to set an alarm on your phone 5 times a day, check in with yourself emotionally, and to say, how do I feel right now? And what's up with that? And this was somebody who, they were working a job, so maybe they just had their phone buzzing in their pocket, and it's just their job allowed them to take a mental break, for 15 seconds or a minute, and it allowed them to check in on their emotions. Now, the reason why I wanted them to do this is because they didn't know what it felt like to be a little bit angry. And so that's something that they had to practice bringing into their consciousness. And so the ultimate game changer for some people is catching the anger when it's small enough that it can still be managed, right? Because once the problem grows to such an extreme level, the bigger your anger gets, the more in your feelings you are, the harder it's going to be to problem solve, because being angry shuts down your prefrontal cortex, which makes it harder to regulate your anger. So there comes a point in the spectrum of your own angry behavior where you lose control, and it's just it's not really worth it to train you at that point, because you're not going to remember your training. And so it's way better to I'm just reading the comments. So it's way better to catch it early, because then the skills that we are teaching you are still going to be online and accessible in your mind. So however like strange it sounds, literally checking in with yourself at random times during the day, that's an exercise that increases the emotional awareness like muscle in your mind. And so it allows you to even know what it looks like whenever you're starting to get a little bit angry. And this is a game changer, because otherwise that would go undetected. And so until anger was already in control, and it's too late, right? So that's the good news, is that like it's actually really easy to get started with this, because all it requires is somebody checking in with themselves emotionally whenever your brain is not already telling you to check your emotions. Like by the time your brain is telling you to check your emotions, it might be too late, because of poor calibration with like your emotional awareness system. Like, so I imagine, somebody like shining a light into the dark abyss of the subconscious, right? And like just exploring, like, what am I feeling right now? And what's up with that, right? And that's a pretty chill way to like ask the question. But it's going to possibly bring into your awareness small issues, and then you're going to know what that feels like. And then next time your brain might automatically tell you that you're just a little bit angry. And the earlier and smaller the anger is that your brain can catch it automatically, the better off you're going to be. And so I knew that the person that had this breakthrough, I knew that even though they couldn't predict when they'd be angry, it didn't matter. We just had to get ahead of the anger. Like we knew that the anger was coming again. So like just randomly checking every moment allowed us to do that. And yeah. And like this person, like, got their relationships back, and is really inspiring. So awareness is key. And then ongoing self-care is another thing that helps people to prevent anger. You may have heard of people being hangry, which is the combination of hunger masquerading as anger. And so I'm not really sure why, your brain like confuses the two, but the wires, they just have a tendency of getting crossed there. And so sometimes when people are angry, or when people are hungry, they show it by being angry. And so simply like putting somebody on a more regular schedule of eating, or problem solving kind of those moments whenever they might be having conflicts with people, whenever they're hungry, like, and again, bringing that emotional awareness to say like, why is it that I'm angry at somebody right now? Oh, it's because I'm hungry. Like, let me get some food. And then being able to recognize that earlier on as you go. So another reason why anger can be hard to let go of for some people is because there's so many chemicals floating around that get, and hormones that get released whenever somebody experiences anger. So whenever somebody gets angry, the stress hormones are released in the body. You have cortisol, noradrenaline, adrenaline, epinephrine, all these terrible chemicals that pulse through your veins, and especially cortisol and adrenaline, they like tear up the tissues in your body. and they get you ready to go to fight and rage, right? And then your immune system has to clean up the mess. And so for some people that can take a day. For some people it takes like a few minutes or an hour or 2 hours to come down from like the physical sensation of being having like a high amount of anger and arousal in the sense of the nervous system. And again, there's like huge variability between individuals. Somebody who already has hyperthyroidism and their thyroid is already kicking out all these harmful hormones, right? They're going to be even more easily triggered. So that's where exercise, I know, has been a blessing for me, to help me if I have a difficult emotion to work through, going on a jog or a run. It allows me to kind of go into a meditative state, and more importantly, for my body to process any stress hormones that are floating around in my bloodstream. And that's actually why exercise is a super effective treatment for mood problems in the nervous system, whether it's your nervous system is underwhelmed, because you're feeling depressed, for one reason or another. You're having physical and mental depression, or if people are overly stimulated, right, by anger or stress or anything else. So exercise allows your body to come back into more of a chemical homeostasis, because your muscles start kicking in to break down certain stress hormones, as well as getting your immune system kind of kicked up a notch, and getting your blood pumping to filter stuff out faster. So lifting, I know a lot of people who lift do those kinds of exercises, same thing. So those are the two biggest kind of factors I can think of, is increasing the awareness at an early level, or at an early stage. And what does that look like? So you might experience like a level of frustration. That's how some people would describe like anger before it turns into full-blown anger or rage or whatever, would be like irritability or frustration. And so I suppose if you ask yourself, like, how frustrated am I right now? Like that would be a more direct way to check in on your emotions, but it might be a leading question. So go ahead and experiment, if this is something that needs to get adjusted in your life, go ahead and experiment around with different emotional awareness activities you can do with yourself. And go ahead in the show notes. Actually, I'll just post it right now. I'm going to start dumping a bunch of super helpful resources into the chat here, but I'm also going to put them in the show notes, because I know we have like hundreds of people watching the replay, because you can watch it 2x speed, twice the therapy and half the time, one or the other, So I just dropped the emotional intelligence test that we went over, and there's a corresponding episode of HEX Therapy Live to go with that. Next, we're going to see a website that gives you free books. And I've got it queued up so that it'll pull up books. And I'll show this on the screen here. Let me show you what this is, because PDF drive, don't tell too many people about it because they'll take it down. But if somebody's in HEX, you can tell them about it. Make them get into HEX first. What am I doing? Sharing my screen here. It looks like we're going to have time to get to the comments. Okay, so sharing my screen here, zooming in. So, I mean, these are books you would pay a lot of money for probably if you went to a bookstore. Anger Management Best Practices Workbook. 122 pages. Controlling Anger Before It Controls You. Awesome. Here's a book with a fist punching through a wall. It says, Anger Management, How to Deal with Your Anger, Frustration, and Temper to Avoid Anger Management. Anger Management for Everyone, 10 Proven Strategies to Help You Control Anger and Live a Happier... Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. The Breakthrough Program for Conquering Anxiety, Depression, Obsessiveness, and something else. Impulsiveness. Cool. Anger Workbook for Teens. Activities to help you deal with anger and frustration. Healing the Angry Brain. How understanding the way your brain works can help you control anger and aggression. I mean, I want to get to the comments here, so I'm not going to read every book here, but there's so many cool resources here. Mindfulness Workbook for Addiction, Getting Anger Under Control, Honor Your Anger, How Transforming Your Anger Style Can Change Your Life. Interesting. The Everything Guide to Anger Management, Proven Techniques to Understand and Control Anger. Cool. And, oh yeah, I pulled up this. It just made me think of it, the Adam Sandler movie with Jack Nicholson, 2003, grossed $200 million, Anger Management. It's a good movie. That reminds me also, so humor, watching something funny or listening to a stand-up or something like that, right? That's another way to regulate your emotions. And you don't have to wait until you're angry or down in order to take care of yourself. It should be a regular part of your everyday routine that can also be a preventative medicine, right? And if the government and insurance companies and middlemen, if they weren't making so much money off of centralized medicine and all that jazz, then they'd care more about cheap preventative medicine. Sci-Vive. I don't talk about this enough. I want to say best-selling, but he gives it out for free. The best and only book from Richard Hart. He actually has more than just this book, but it's a masterpiece, as you can imagine. It's about 750 pages. And once you go to this Telegram group, you can get the download link. I think his editor kind of needs to be shot, but I also like nonviolence. So, forgive the editing for now, but Control Find is your best friend in this case. Because you can just search for the word anger, and then you can find all the wisdom from your favorite creator of HEX, Richard Hart. And there's so much good stuff in Sci-Vive. We're going to devote some episodes to it. Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm excited for these comments. Let's see what people will have here. Let me close out of my windows here. All right. Smash the like, you broke plebs. Well put, Marcavelli. Biffin. I'm voting for Hatchet, the name of the ETH fork. We need all the names we can get. I've got like a list. I'm not ready to share it, but maybe I am ready. Let me see. Brand the man. Papa, I'm not reading that out loud. What is the last day thing Hexo mentions? Oh, I think I know what you're saying, learning daily, because like whenever he does a raid, he does his outro speech and like his catchphrases, but it cuts off. Somebody should tell him that. But he normally says, I hope you had a good day. I hope you got everything you wanted in the t-shirt price or whatever. I don't know. There's a reason it's his catchphrase and not mine. I say stake wisely, my friends, when I remember it. Thank you for all you do, Maddie. What you do is so important, not only for the community, but for the world. Thank you, Brand. I appreciate it. These... Let me see. I get mad when I run out of weed. Is that bad? So cannabis is definitely a way that a lot of people manage their anger. And the only problem with it is that it has side effects. And, you know, Richard kind of speaks out against weed as something that like makes you quote unquote weaker. Now, coming from like an addiction neuroscience background, I can say definitely that there are lots of individual differences in the way that people will respond to THC and endocannabinoid. All right, somebody made a clip of me messing up how I was saying something, and I kind of like it, but I kind of don't. So I'll just leave it at that. So your CBDs, so it's not only a function of individual differences, which vary very widely, but also what kind of chemical is it that's coming out of the cannabis. So when you use THC to manage your anger, then you build up a tolerance, and you might quote unquote be weak and miss out on other things. So that's why having as many tools in your toolbox as possible is a good thing, to not rely only on THC as your mechanism to cope with anger. Sammy says, my partner is an angry bastard in the morning. Well, that reminds me, I should have brought up that sleep deprivation can also be a cause of anger and frustration. And so it sounds like he needs a little bit more beauty sleep. I'm an anger management dropout. Okay, I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Being able to control your emotions is key. Responding instead of reacting. Good. I'll try not to be so angry in the morning. If you cook breakfast just once. Let's see. So fish oil is in Maddie's toolbox. That is correct. Omega-3, to be exact. Omega-369. It insulates the electrical wires in your prefrontal cortex. And without that, how are you supposed to expect your prefrontal cortex to be shutting down your amygdala and allowing you to regulate your emotions, right? So I have seen many lives changed, including my own, by taking Omega-369. And I'm going to make a note to make that like a continuous link in the show notes for any of these therapy streams. Let me see. The kind that I get, you don't have to get the same kind, but if you want the same kind I get, it's the Sam's Club brand. Let's see. Good to see you, Crypto303. I always love seeing you in the chat here. Sammy says, to Papa B, I would cook you breakfast. I like cooking bacon, eggs, and smashed avocado. Okay. Crypto303, I wish the Incredible Hulk had seen this. That's right. Especially when he was still Bruce Banner and hadn't hulked out yet, right? Papa B, not reading that one. What gets my goat the fastest? Too much time spent around two stupid people who are too vocal, spitting their ignorance. Like, again, Mr. Contrarian, you want to, send good vibes into the world and again, moods are contagious. So keep that in mind and try to give, more positivity than you receive or pass on the positivity whenever you can. Bit finesse. When Hexicans are millionaires and billionaires, we will want to blame Richard Hart. But we should blame ourselves for delaying gratification, increasing self-awareness, and being responsible. I think you're talking about giving credit, and I like the idea of giving credit to ourselves and to others. Adobe is trying to update. Let's see. After I stopped punching people, my rage went up. That brings up another super important point. So acting out on your anger, like, it does not help. So like some people think like, oh, I'll just go punch a punching bag and like pretend it's my boss. And then like that'll stop me from actually punching my boss. But the data is in, and it shows that acting on aggression like increases your aggression, even if you're displacing it in a healthy way at first. Like, you just don't want to act on that impulse to like be aggressive or damaging. And so the go-to there would be to find some other form of exercise other than punching things or people, because eventually if you punch enough things, then you'll end up punching people in the end, which is counterintuitive, I know, but that's what the research says. More questions about being able to punch things, blowing things up, also in the acting on aggression. Maddie's a true professional. Thank you, BMA. When will you test HexBay with Cream? Like I said at the beginning of the show, there's I'm working around the clock to make sure that all of the things I've committed to come out. So now that I know that I've got a line of communication with the HexBay developers, I'm excited to do it. I can't see exactly when Kareem and I will do it, but him and I hang out every Tuesday night. He was saying the other day, he had to postpone a date or something because he was so excited about doing the regular stream. We've been doing that for 7 weeks now with Whales Only, who's getting ready to go live here as soon as I get through all these comments. Let's see. Hey, Crypto King, good to see you. Let's see. Oh, this made me laugh earlier. I'm not sure why, but I just think everything that Crypto303 says is really funny. I thought in America people got mad, not angry. I don't know what that means, but I laughed. I'll look into a punching bag. No, stop. I'm so behind on comments. Control it like Nardo. Tell Amazon to cancel the order. Controlling your own emotions is the key to success in this crazy world. Yeah, emotional IQ predicts success even greater than your intelligence quotient. Daddy says, my best friend is a psychologist. He explains things to me so much. Fun fact, computer science and psychology are pretty similar. That's weird because like one of my best friends has a joke nickname of Daddy because he loves his daughter and thinks it's funny when people call him that. So let's see. Where do emotions come from? Machiavelli. Well, so they come from the prehistoric brain, the thalamus, just deep brain structures in general. Fun fact. So the reason why poetry can like touch you in a way that other words can't is because it speaks to your deeper brain centers by combining art and words, and that's why art in general, including poetry, can make people unusually emotional or like connect with their emotions or have breakthroughs, right? Is because there are certain structures in the brain that don't respond to normal words because they're nonverbal. They're pre-verbal, maybe. Let's see. Better not say too many things about verbal behavior here. Thanks for your sterling work. Setting up the interviews. Oh yeah. So Crypto 303 is shouting out Crypto King, and yeah, awesome work. You've been bringing a lot of attention to HEX and bringing awesome guests to the Discourse Syndicate. I've enjoyed watching each and every one of them. What if my training Machiavelli, you like half your comments are about broke wrecked plebs. Let's see. ... raises your emotional awareness, muscle in your mind, LOL. Cathartic therapies and systematic desensitization are the most effective therapies for you, Blue Bum. Okay. So again, like, people can find out for themselves, or, you can make this, you can learn from, the anger management of others about, so there's different kinds of cathartic like experiences, right? And I would just boil them down to like, it might be cathartic to go into a rage room and break a bunch of stuff. But a different kind of catharsis would be like, seeing something play out in a movie that's like super emotional, and then you have a breakthrough in your emotions, right? Because you were crying because the movie made you cry, and now you're crying because you're crying for yourself to, because you've experienced something that you were avoiding. Systematic desensitization, that's a super important one. I need to write that down on like the list of episode topics. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm getting caught up or not. I get hangry just before dinner. Fish and chips tomorrow. Good. Crypto Vince, good to see you. This is straight gold, Maddie. Thanks for sharing this. Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you for watching, everybody. And make sure to share this with anybody who you think it would benefit. Even if they're not into HEX, I don't think I talk too much about HEX in this stream. I also don't think you can talk too much about HEX, so don't ask me. There seems to be a random light shining on your green screen. Yeah, I'm still perfecting my skills as a streamer. And so there's a backlight behind the green screen, and that's causing the strange glare. If anybody knows how I can not be like completely whited out, how I could change my lighting, message me, please. Let's see. Love it. Awesome. Crypto King makes you so happy to see the guests that the Discourse team brings to the show. and seeing everyone enjoy the current information and members of other communities. Boom. Nice. Anger be showing up like the Kool-Aid man sometimes, for sure. Oh yeah. I can't be the OCD-ish person. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms with OCD that we can talk about, in the future. I don't have any like direct associations between anger and that at this moment. Hungry or tired. Yes, you guys are catching the fact that I skipped explaining the fact that fatigue and sleep deprivation are common causes of anger. Most people in this world allow the outside world to control their emotions, and that can make you angry. Correct. Marcus Aurelius, how's it going? Hexamine. Grant, good to see you. Let's see. Limited edition heart hex lamp on pre-order only. t.me/hut. Crypto without the T. And a duck emoji, not sure. Hexercise, yes. Commercials try to tell you you are not enough. You are not happy if you don't buy this thing. We promote, get it, and then you're happy. Look, all these other people wanted to. Look how happy they are now. Good to see you, Crypto Learner. Timothy Benjamin, one of my favorite streamers. How are you? I dealt with anger for decades. I would love to discuss it, the victory over it, after I get moved into my new spot with real internet. I can't wait. That'd be amazing. I love following your story of retirement and your travels, going to different HEX meetups, and very cool how you tell your story. Let's see. It's a happy little cloud. Good internet equals anger cure. Nice. Okay, and then I shared the links here. That was fun. Anger is like holding on to a hot coal, hoping to throw it at someone. Okay, you're just burning your hand. Maddie, sometimes I want to beat people up, especially beta males. How can I change this? Tell me more. You're full of rage. Help me. Exercise, right? And maybe some of the other things I've said in this stream. I see in the background 2 junior Trump junior. Oh boy, I'd like to advise them on some things. Those are Wall Street Bets guys. I was trying to get more HEX involvement from like degens who ape into things. Okay, I can't help it. I'm so hip. I need to send this to my son, but I'm scared he'll get angry at me. It's a vicious cycle. Well, I mean, I know a lot of the things that you say, Crypto 303, are pretty funny, but it's not funny if your son has anger. I guess hook him up with the omega-3 first. Then about a month later, send him this. Great movie. Jack Nicholson looks like Richard in that. Wrap the book in bacon. Nobody gets mad at bacon. That was a great movie. Loved the Sandler. All right, no spoilers. Internet and knitting. Love it. Thanks for the links, bro. Absolutely, my pleasure. Sci-Vive is great. I low-key want to wrestle Richard Hart. Lehman Ortega, you're coming in hot. I don't get why not just pay someone to edit the book. Well, he did. But then if you listen to his other streams, he explains that sometimes he pays people to do things and they don't do it. And so Octagon, chain name. Is Sci-Fi based on the Torah? I'm not sure. Not that I remember. It's mainly based on Richard's personal experiences and the knowledge he's acquired. You guys heard him give a mad amount of information on Rolexes the other day. He said he just studied it like straight for 2 days, and I really liked the rhythm of his last stream. He talked about crypto, then non-crypto, and back to crypto. Hey, Johnny No Good. Good to see you. Let's see. If you don't like my background, make me a cooler one. I like this one. I like other backgrounds, you know. Or maybe I'll make it. You know, I guess it's my job, right? More tools than weed. Let's go. I'll buy some fish oil right now. I need some. Oh, perfect. I have vegan omega-3. It's not an animal product only. Correct. Yeah, I've had other people say that. Let's see. Angry brains must invade the fish insurgent. Flax seeds are a good source of omega-3. I almost never get angry, but I get real hungry, and then I get a little snippy. Balliot says that omega-3 6-9 works for him. He can anecdotally attest. I just leave work if the boss gets me to the point I'm angry to avoid blowing up. Good. Let's see. Make peace. What's up, fam? What's the strongest human emotion, in my opinion? I don't know. That's a good question. Strongest human emotion? Love. How about that? Poetry will be canceled for touching deep brain places. My big sis gets angry towards every single thing in the world, alive or lifeless, and she always defends her temper. How to rebuttal that to get her to anger management? Maybe she has hyperthyroidism and she needs medical treatment. What's up, guys? Hey, El Hexidente, good to see you. I can hear a fan or computer running in the background just a tiny bit. Yeah, I think I've been hearing that all day. Smash the likes, peeps, before Maddie gets angry. That's right, Hex Toshi. Frustration can become anger, correct. Those Trump Jr. pics are NFTs. Maddie only paid $100,000 for them. Hey, Hex Monkey. Okay, Whales Only just comments that he's still preparing the charts. I'm so glad that I'm not running into his time too bad, because I really want to catch his stream. His last stream was by far one of the best. Yeah, Richard crushed it this last time. I can recommend the movie. Let's see, 1988. They Live, Survive. I don't know if anybody else has seen that. A-Bit, how's it going? Yo, A-Bit can attest too. You know, like, he and I are working on a project. I'm working on a project with RG3. Everybody else, like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to happen in the next few days. Let me just say that. It's all going to combine. That's why we can't, like, ruin the surprise now. Cookie Boys, good to see you in the chat. I know you have lots of insights into different things. Knowing and controlling all your emotions can be your tools in life, like chess pieces in the game of life. Well put. Let's see. Yay, I got caught up. Awesome. Realize that everyone on earth has all of the emotions. Actually, well, you know, there's always an exception that proves the rule, right? I've worked with some people who really didn't have any empathy because they had the psychopathic traits where their central nervous system did not respond to the pain of others. And those are fascinating cases for sure. What stream you don't want to miss next? Whales Only is up next, A-Bit. And we're going to rate them for sure. I'm going to pull up to see if he's going live yet. I know he's here in the chat. Let me see here. I've got the link queued up and everything. Ah, yes, he's live. All right, perfect. So here we go. Make sure to catch me this weekend with Patrick HEXline. And tomorrow is the FN Hangout on Discourse Syndicate. But for now, go ahead and join me in this raid with whales only. It would be great to have Wales and Richard on a stream. Imagine having that. That would be great. Yeah, absolutely. I think Richard should do way more streams. But, you know, he's also busy, like, building all the next things that we need. So I guess it's up to him. Whales only is his topic tonight is HEX macro talk, the fractional reserve banking system. You know that's going to be good. So I'm going to sign off for now. And remember, keep taking care of yourselves and stake wisely, my friends.